Well, I won't need therapy this week.
Austin is a crazy blend of country life and city life, and today I decided to go country. I'm Adrianne Calvo, chef, author, traveler, and restaurateur. I've been cooking for as long as I can remember, and along the way, I created a little something called maximum flavor. That's my style of cooking. I want to activate all parts of the palate: sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and spicy, sending delicious endorphins to your brain. And now, I'm on the hunt for inspiration. Join me as I head out in search of maximum flavor. This time around, we're in Austin, Texas, the live music capital of the world and the actual capital of Texas. Now, I'm sure you've heard it. They say everything is bigger in Texas, and that holds true here, especially when you talk about three things: barbecue, whiskey, and music. So my mission is to try all three and see what I can learn and bring back to my kitchen. As a city, Austin has so much to offer, so it's easy to see why people are moving here by the hundreds daily from all over the country. I'm here with my corporate executive chef, Egg, and we're off to meet Robert, one of the few people left who were actually born and raised in Austin. He is the proud owner of Austin institution, Z Tejas, and he's going to tell us all about the town he calls home.
So tell me a little bit about Z Tejas.
Z Tejas is one of the original restaurants in Austin that was a chef-driven concept. You're not gonna go down South Congress Avenue and see a bunch of chain restaurants downtown. You're going to find one-off, one-concept restaurants, food and good music. That's Austin for you. We have a lobster and grits dish from our winter menu right now that is awesome because it's like grits, southern food, right? But then it's mixed with the lobster that's cooked in a white wine butter sauce, and we cook the fresh pico in the sauce to kind of give some flavor to the lobster.
Yeah.
And then it's served with a black bean barbecue sauce drizzled into the grits, and you just meld all the flavors. It is awesome.
When people talk this passionately about food and describe it, I'm like,
Delicious in all the right places.
Yeah, you know, Austin, like I mentioned earlier, you know, it's just kind of exploded with the population. So you have a lot of different people moving here from a lot of different backgrounds. And I think that's definitely seen on the food, you know, that's on the menus.
With any place I visit, I always try to immerse myself in their culture, and I've been told no trip to Austin is complete without visiting this place, Allen's Boots. In Austin since 1977, this spot might be more iconic than the Texas state capitol, and since later today we're having barbecue and hitting up a honky-tonk, I think I might need some boots and a cowboy hat. Welcome to Austin. Well, now that I look the part, I'm ready for some delicious barbecue, and I'm off to meet up with Allie. Her and her wife Leanne own La Barbecue and have one hell of a story.
Well, we started back in 2012 in a trailer. We were actually a food truck for 5 years. Leanne comes from a really famous barbecue family.
Leanne,
LA of La Barbecue.
of La Barbecue.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
So that's why we named it La Barbecue, and we didn't want to use her last name because she wanted to say, hey, you know what, we're women, we're doing this, we're going to feminize it. LA, Leanne, La. So, yeah. So her dad wanted James Beard before he passed away for an American classic for their family restaurant, Louis Miller Barbecue in Taylor, Texas. Leanne grew up, you know, in the barbecue, really, in her family barbecue. So starting bussing tables as a kid, and then, you know, helping her dad with recipes and cooking processes and stuff like that. And then we started this in 2012. The one thing that Leanne definitely wanted was us to come out with our sausage, house-made sausage. So we're not buying it from anybody, we are making it. Even when we were in a trailer, we had like non-commercial sausage making materials, and it was a pain in the ass and took forever, but we made it. So now we have 3 different sausages.
Nice, we ordered that. And this is delicious. Art. This looks like art.
how did it feel to be like women going into this like male-dominated business?
You know, we got a lot of pushback, honestly, in the very beginning. So Leanne's brother is big in the, you know, in the barbecue world, and all of his little cronies like to troll us like crazy. But
Yeah.
what they don't know is I'm meaner than they are, so it doesn't really matter. And
Now I'm off to meet another self-proclaimed firecracker, Terry White. Even though she just lost her father, Austin legend and Broken Spokes owner James White, she wanted to share her passion for her father and for dancing with us. But I'll stop there and let her tell you the story.
Now here's the dance hall. 700 people can fit. This place was opened November 10th, 1964.
Was Dolly Parton ever in here?
Oh yeah. The first day he opened, there was 300 people, Mother said, coming in and out, you know. And he'd buy 1 case of beer, and when that was sold, they'd send all the money down and buy 2 cases of beer.
Oh, that's good.
An entrepreneur.
Smart.
Wow.
Very smart.
Look, let me tell you something. If you're a fella and you can dance good, they line up to get you. Yeah.
Okay.
The 2-step originated probably in the one I'm going to show you in the 30s. Okay. It's 2 steps put together, a slow step and a travel step. All right, super easy.
Wow, that was so much fun. Austin is not just known for its barbecue and music, but also known for its fusion. I'm going to meet up with Valentina's Tex-Mex barbecue owner, Miguel, and try some of his delicious fusion barbecue.
Last time we were in Austin, one of the places that stayed with us and we couldn't wait to get back to was Valentina's. Could you tell us a little bit about Valentina's? What inspired you to create this awesome barbecue?
Valentinas really came out of the inspiration of like backyard cooking and what my family and what I grew up around with. I remember going home to eat dinner with my parents. My mom had made rice, beans, some aguacate, just smashed with a little bit of salt, tortillas, and my dad had grilled some chicken, made a brisket, and had some ribs. And then grab a slice of brisket, put it in a tortilla, a little bit of avocado, right? A little bit of salsa on there. I'm eating, I'm like, this is it right here. This is what I want to do. We need to express what I think that Tejano culture is doing in Texas in the backyard. But
A true
everything-
definition of fusion.
Yeah.
Like for real fusion. What's your favorite dish?
My favorite thing to make, because it is Texas and it's heavily influenced on beef and especially brisket, my favorite thing is the brisket. Because we want to be able to be just right up there with everybody else. It's probably one of the hardest things to make consistently and perfect.
I'm tasting definitely the barbecue, but then the flavors from the salsa and the avocado, it brings, I don't know if it brings it out more or it complements it perfectly.
Yeah, I feel like it brightens it, you know?
And it cuts, the acid cuts through the richness of the barbecue. Oh, definitely one underlying theme that we see in Austin is tradition and innovation. This definitely hits a home run. This is definitely maximum flavor. Yeah.
And then our ribs here, normally our ribs don't come with sauce on top. So they come like this as a special. That's gonna be a habanero barbecue sauce. Okay. It's not super spicy. You get subtle hints of it. It's kind of more of like a honey barbecue mustard type thing. And we're trying to cook the ribs so they're not falling off the bone, but they're pulling off the bone almost right before they're gonna be able to fall off the bone.
Perfect blend of heat, acid, sweetness. I love what you said about the bite.
And the perfect bite is made better by the perfect sip. And that's what I'm headed out to find. Did you know bourbon can only come from the US? And it specifically comes from 2 areas, Kentucky and now Texas. Just outside of Austin, you can find some life-changing bourbon here at Garrison Brothers Distillery. I am meeting with Dan Garrison, the founder of the first legal bourbon distillery in Texas.
So I think we're here. I would call this bourbon heaven.
So around here, we feel like whiskey is the devil's work because whiskey's cheap. So here at Garrison Brothers, we do the Lord's work. Which is
To the Lord's work.
Salud.
Salute.
If you like it, please tell all your friends. If you don't like it, keep that shit to yourself.
Can you tell us about your history? Tell us what inspired you.
I graduated from the University of Texas in Austin. Hook 'em. Skipped my commencement ceremony. I moved to New York City. I got a job with an advertising agency called Gray Advertising. About 4 years after I'd been in New York, I got this strange phone call from this woman from Texas named Nancy. And she said, hey, a friend of mine in my sorority said that we were in school at the same time together, but we didn't get to know each other. And she recommended that I look you up. And I said, Yes, Nancy, let's do that. I'm waiting for the taxi cab to pull up, and I'm sitting at the bar drinking shots with these guys, and I see this girl getting out of the taxi cab, and I went, oh shit. And I pulled $100 out of my wallet, and everything happened in slow motion. I laid it down on the bar because I didn't want any of these dudes to see what was getting out of that taxi cab. And I walked over to the taxi cab, walked out the door, opened the door. I said, are you Nancy? She said, I am. And I said, I'm Dan, and I'm so pleased to meet you. Let's get back in your taxi. Let's go down to Little Italy and have some Italian food. And we did. And 3 months later, I was madly in love and had to move back to Texas.
Okay.
Which is cool with me because I've loved Texas my whole life. I jumped ship and I went to work for a technology company, and they gave me these things called stock options. And apparently these ththings can make you wealthy someday if your company is sold or if it goes public or something like that. In 2001, the dream came true. My company was bought by a company out of California for like $178 million. And I'm sitting there looking at the Wall Street Journal going, okay, what's the stock price of this acquiring company? Because I got 17,000 shares of that son of a bitch. And I'm gonna ride off into the sunset on my catamaran, and my wife and kids are never gonna see my sorry ass again. Then something happened that nobody expected. I had a clause in my contract, in my employment agreement, that lasted 6 months. It's called a lockup clause. You are not allowed to sell your shares for a 6-month time period. So I adhered to my clause, but what could possibly go wrong in 6 months? It's just 6 months.
Right.
Have y'all ever heard of an oil and gas company from Houston called Enron?
Yes. Oh my God.
That was our largest client. And when they went belly up, 12,000 Texans lost their jobs. I lost my job, and I had to rethink my whole life. And I'm reading the newspaper late at night, and my wife's next to me in bed, and she's a vodka drinker, and I'm reading an article about a guy that's gonna make another vodka. And I'm like, oh God. And I turned to her and I said, why would someone make vodka? Why would someone spend $5-10 million to build a vodka distillery when they can make bourbon, which tastes great? And she said, you know, as much of that stuff as you drink, maybe you should make bourbon. We'd probably save money.
Whoa! Nice. Boom.
That's called a license to distill.
How does Garrison Brothers differentiate itself from other bourbons?
The texture of Garrison Brothers, the oiliness, do y'all taste that? It's almost like a syrupy flavor. So that's the oils that come when you fry popcorn.
Yes.
You fried it in corn oil, right?
Yeah.
And wheat oil and barley oil. Those are the grains that we use. And those oilies, we try to capture those oils. It's got a texture that no other bourbon whiskey in the country has, in my opinion.
We're in search of maximum flavor. The aroma at first, then you taste that oiliness, you feel it on your palate. Yeah. And there's just so many layers of flavor. It's a whole experience, almost like it's like a dining experience, like how you would critique a dish.
As if the day hasn't been great enough already, now we're going to hang out with master distiller Donis Todd, who's going to show us around and teach me how to do something I've always wanted to do.
Now take it back out. Label out, I love it.
Ready? You beat me to it.
I'll grab a couple glasses and we'll divide it up and have a sip of cask strength bourbon straight out of the barrel. To truly enjoy this has been resting in that barrel almost 7 years, just sitting there waiting for us. So we should at least approach it properly. So when I bring this in, I'm getting some maple syrup.
Yeah,
when I take it
definitely.
back out, unfortunately, I'm no longer here with y'all. I'm at my mom's dinner table every Sunday when I was a little kid.
Oh.
That's a positive association.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Not, out of the freezer and get drunk. We've already accomplished that. I mean, we've kind of moved on. Cheers.
Cheers.
People always want to know what makes Garrison Brothers so unique. And it's easy for us to say Texas in the heat. And I'll give them that a little bit. But to me, the top three are the people, Texas, and back to the people. I'm surrounded by passionate people who, they don't have a job. They have a passion, a career. And we live this. This is what we do.
As you can imagine, falling in love with Austin was easy. The amount of passion everyone has here for their craft is truly inspiring. So now, with a head full of ideas and a heart full of memories, I'm headed back to the 305 to share some of Austin with you.
And here's what we came up with. Meet our barbecue ribs. We peel off any silver skin or excess fat that's on the baby back ribs. Then we create a rub. Brown sugar, chili powder, mustard powder, onion powder, cumin, cayenne, lemon pepper, kosher salt, celery salt, and chef's dust. Rub it in really well, wrap it in plastic wrap, and put it in the refrigerator for at least 24 hours. This time allows the flavors to really penetrate. We're gonna do a beer braise. We're gonna braise them low and slow so that rub and that beer really come together, and that's how the meat is gonna fall off the bone. Next, we're gonna make our very own barbecue sauce, a few easy ingredients that are gonna take this over the top. But we don't stop there. We are going to make our red chimichurri. And that's how you do ribs maximum flavor style.
Want to watch more of this? Make sure to subscribe for more maximum flavor.